This is Scott Richmond.
And Arnie Sherman.
You're listening to What Do You Know on Newstalk KGVO, AM 1290 and 98.3 FM. Hey, Arnie.
Hey, Scott, it's good to see you. How you been?
I'm very good. How are you?
Good. We have an interesting show this week because we have the winner of the, I think, 29th John Raffato Business Plan Competition at the University of Montana.
Wow.
And over the last years, it has expanded to a statewide business plan competition.
Okay.
And this year, a woman, Jennifer Sheets, won the business plan competition with a business related to helping young students, public school students, improve their writing skills and their creative writing capability, called Story Squares.
Okay.
And she won the business plan competition with, as I understand it, no business background whatsoever. So here she is competing with people from business, not only UM Business School, but at Montana State University. Every college in the state, and university is eligible to participate in the business plan competition. And she, as a graduate instructor in creative writing at the School of Journalism, comes in and wins the business. Not only won the business.
Did she have any help? Or we'll find out.
We're going to find out. That's what I want to know. She not only won the business plan competition, which I think has a prize of $15,000, which makes it very competitive with all the other business plan competitions around the country.
Wow!
But she also won, I think, an additional $3,500 for the, Audience Choice Award, the People's Choice Award, as the best presentation and the one they liked the best. So I think that's a tremendous, accolade for her. And we're going to figure out how she, came up with the idea. How did she figure out how to make it into a business? One that a juried committee of experienced entrepreneurs reviewed it. This is not, this is not just somebody picked off the street, and she won. So I'm very interested in talking to her. And in general, I like the whole idea. It's great that 30 years ago, under the leadership of Larry Guy-Anchetta, who was the dean at the business school at that time, and the support of John Raffato.
Who was John Raffato?
He was
involved in the school. Got it.
He was involved with the school, and he made contribution in order to do this. And I'm sure our listeners know a lot more about John Raffato. He was before my time.
I see. Got it.
But I think what's important is that for almost 30 years we have encouraged entrepreneurship, student entrepreneurship, and business creation.
Sure.
And many of the businesses around town here have come as a result of, the business plan competition. Among the most recent are, 5 on Black.
Yeah, sure.
Which is now opening its 6th or 7th location, in a 3-state area, and has, 150 employees. So these businesses are not just pipe dreams that students.
They're sustainable businesses.
They're sustainable businesses that have emerged out of this training and education and support that the university provides.
I'm curious to know. We'll ask Jennifer, give us a little color about the process and what she went through. But why education? Like, why did education this year, right, as opposed to maybe years past? Why did that category get the
right? And I want to know how she's going to monetize it. I mean, she has a plan, and we're going to find out about it.
Well, do you remember growing up in you had?
I don't remember growing up. It was so long ago.
New York folks, but SRA, like reading and writing aids that teachers use. I remember growing up with them that they used in the classroom for many, many years. And and I'd be curious to know if it was modeled after that.
Well, it'll be a little off topic, but I notice that, and one of the things I noticed during my 17 years teaching at the university, that the writing ability of students kept declining. In fact, in my last couple of years, which wasn't that long ago, foreign students who had English as their second language were more proficient at writing than students that are raised on even media who LOL and all of the abbreviations and not being able to write a paragraph. I mean, I don't even know if people are trained to write cursively any longer.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if it's good or bad that it's morphing into something else.
Well, you think about the advent of the word processor, typewriter, word processor. Now, everything is on your phone and everything can be dictated. So it really less reliance on the written word, the expression through the written word.
Even knowing a keyboard, because you can do it, by voice command.
That's right, the dictation. So
the machine does the writing for you.
You don't even have to do anything. You just ask Siri. No research is needed.
That's right.
She'll do it for you. It's interesting. So this is, so we're
going to find what's the business angle. How is this a business?
Well, anytime we speak to a business, we always say, what was the pain point? What's the pain point that we're solving for?
Right.
So let's ask Jennifer that, and I'm sure it'll be a lively conversation.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Okay, back after this with Jennifer Sheets. Okay, welcome, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me today.
Jennifer, it's great to have you on the show. So first thing I'm going to ask you right out of the chute here.
Uh-oh.
How did you win the John Raffato
That's a great question.
I wonder how you won. What was your thinking about, capturing the crown, so to speak?
Yeah, so, it's a few-month process. I think the original business plan was due in January or February, and then the big event was just last month. So it was months of turmoil and stress. But I think the reason I won a few things. Incredible network. So I had a business coach. I had the Blackstone Launchpad.
Right.
Accountants and lawyers and experts that I could count on to answer all these questions and who reached out. And then the day of, my business coach gave me the best advice. She said, do not apologize for anything. So I didn't apologize to not knowing an answer. I didn't apologize to not having a completed product. I just went in there and owned it. And I won.
And furnish us with a little background. So where are you from, and how did you get to that point?
Because you're not a business student,
right?
No, no. I even had somebody afterwards go, wait, so you're a writer and you won a business startup. How does this work? I said, I have no idea. I don't know how that works. But, so I grew up in Fargo, North Dakota.
Nice.
So, yep. Good
well,
old Midwest.
It's
got a lot of writing material.
Right.
And I've been in Montana for about 10 years. I did my undergrad in Minnesota. Grad, I have a master's in public administration from Bozeman, and then now I'm working on my master's of fine arts and creative writing here in Missoula.
You're forever educated.
I know. I can't leave school.
Good for you.
I love it.
So tell our listeners what the business plan was about. What Story Squares is.
So Story Squares is a digital writing tool for the classroom. Essentially, it's like digital sticky notes for kids. So they can write on their sticky notes, move them around with their fingers, and then everything's auto-populated into a full document.
Okay.
So what we're doing is really not even on the market at all. We kind of have these old, outdated, Microsoft Word, things that you still have to start at the beginning. And this kind of allows kids to start anywhere in the process, write their stories. So our business plan is that we would love to create a subscription for teachers and schools so that they pay monthly and they have full access to the storage, to the tools, to the prompts, can create lesson plans all right on there in our one platform. In
our intro, I mentioned to Arnie that I grew up with SRA. That was like a teaching tool back east where I'm from, where the teachers had it was a reading kind of class, and you progressed year over year over year, but also help with writing. And I said, this has got to be the new version of that.
Oh, yeah.
We missed Microsoft when I was There was, but...
Fifth grade for Scott was the 3 worst years of his life.
We can help. Story Squares can help you.
So how young can you start using Story Squares?
Probably right now with our business plan, probably 3rd grade. That's kind of when they get past the spelling and my college students are still working on their spelling, but 3rd grade.
That's for sure.
Yeah, that's the truth.
So by 3rd grade, they're really forming sentences and paragraphs. Right. But we have had interest from kindergarten teachers saying that they kids in kindergarten are now working on scientific hypotheses. I had no idea.
Wow.
They write the word hypothesis and, this is what I expect to happen in my experiment. I thought, oh my gosh. So the stuff that they're learning in the classroom now, if we can start using this from day one, it'll follow kids through college. So, because everybody needs help with writing.
And that's the idea, right?
Exactly.
Had you ever stood up in front of a juried group and an audience and presented a concept, an idea or plan like this ever?
Previous to Blackstone, absolutely not. We had a mini competition in the fall, which I also did well at, and that was a tiny little version of the John Ruffato. Previous to this, I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined owning a business.
So how much money did you score out of this process?
Well, with the fall competition, we're looking at about $22,000.
Wow,
that's pretty good.
That's a nice thing to get a business started with.
And you're committed to start this, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You're going to do when do you graduate?
Well, if all goes well, I'm done with this semester tomorrow,
right?
And I'll graduate next year. So I have the summer off, and I will be working on it full time. And we're hoping to launch a pilot in the fall.
And you say we. Are there more than you involved in this now?
Yeah, so my friend Walter is our designer. So he owns a little bit of the company with me. Okay. He was in school when I was in Bozeman, and he worked for free to build his portfolio and did such a phenomenal job. I said, well, hey, you want to keep working for free? I think we've got something here. So he's still on board. Yeah.
Question, Jennifer. So this thing, the idea of it has been in development for, I'm assuming, a while now.
2 years,
right?
Yeah.
Is that going through your master's and kind of, is that how you developed it, or?
No, it's I love this story. So I was volunteering at a conference called Hatch. I'm not sure if you guys heard. Have you heard of that?
Very familiar with Hatch.
Yeah, great creativity summit, brilliant minds all in one room. So I was volunteering because I thought, geez, I got to get in that room. I got to see what all the magic is about. And year one, I thought, I'm completely inadequate. I mean, these are the most brilliant people I've ever met. I was so embarrassed. So I just felt like a fraud. Like, why am I here? Year two, I opened up a little bit, started talking to people, and that's when I just all of a sudden had this idea of, I got to combine writing and technology. We got to get those together. So I approached someone and said, I've got this idea. I'm not so sure. See, this is the whole apologizing, right? I was like, I don't really know if it's a good idea. And he goes, I'm going to stop you right there. And because I said, I don't know if it's possible. And he goes, don't ever ask if something is possible. Assume it already is.
Right.
From that moment forward, I thought, all right, I can do this. So that's how it started.
Because teaching aids is a category, a very big category, correct?
Correct.
Like in software and educational software and...
There's a lot of spelling and grammar apps. Google Classroom is another platform.
Right.
So there's lots that help the teacher teach those kind of components of writing, but nothing that helps students generate ideas and actually get excited to put that first word on the page. So that's what we're hoping for.
Are there like different themes like that you can kind of parse the curriculum? Like, is there a beatnik theme and
I like that.
And a fantasy theme?
There will be, thanks to that idea.
Well, because I want to write like Jack Kerouac.
Yeah. Yes. Oh gosh, don't we all?
So a third grader.
Yeah.
On the road.
I almost became an English major when I went to college.
Did you?
But my parents forced me to be a pre-med major because they wanted a doctor in the family.
And now you have nothing to do with it either.
But the point I was going to make was my favorite teacher in school was my English teacher.
Mine too.
Really? Yeah.
He was an alcoholic, unfortunately, and didn't focus as well as he should. But he was a great mentor for encouraging my creative writing interest. And this, I guess, provides a playing field, right?
Yes.
For any student anywhere to get energized.
Yes, absolutely.
About doing that.
We don't want it to just be about the writing, because I teach college writing, and it's torture. These students have grown up hating writing, the word writing.
Right.
And so we want this to be just an idea generator and a way to express ourselves, because everybody uses words, whether you're talking or, doing a radio show, writing. So if we can just get kids excited, that's the first step.
Will this transfer easily into other languages?
I'm hoping so. Absolutely. The back end, I'm going to leave to the experts on the back end development, but I don't see how it couldn't.
Right.
So for sure.
So I have to share this with the audience. The audience can't see us here in this room, but you have a tattoo on your arm.
I do.
And that tattoo is very familiar to anybody who's been around a library, right?
Yes.
So tell our listeners what your tattoo says.
So my tattoo says Ex Libris, and it is about the shape and size of a deck of cards. And what it is back in the day when books were really rare, people would, book owners would have artists design book plates for them.
Oh.
And essentially Ex Libris means from the library of, but it's kind of like this book belongs to. sticker.
Oh, that's cool.
I have a number of books that I stole from the New York Public Library.
Don't say that.
That have that very sticker inside of them.
Well, Jennifer, I have a question for you. Yeah. This is obviously a passion. Hey, you've tattooed yourself. But moreover, who was your mentor growing up and, you know, to pursue this field, right, and pursue this line of education? Because was it like Arnie and myself, both of which English teachers kind of spurred us along?
I would say you're right. I think it's the English teachers. I mean, I grew up with great parents that, luckily or not, let me do whatever I want as far as education goes, which is why I'm stuck now with a philosophy degree and an English degree. You know?
Yeah, but look where it led you.
It's, you know, it led me here. And my English teachers, I just had so much fun getting lost in books, and they would recommend books. And it was the teachers that weren't, you know, you can tell when a teacher's bored, right? And so it's great when they can say, hey, have you checked out Roald Dahl? Have you checked out Madeline L'Engle? Have you checked out the new Harry Potter series? You know, that came out when I was in middle school. And then to be able to write and be encouraged and not be worried about spelling and grammar, something I'm still terrible at, but just to go with it and run. That's the best.
So it's your imagination, right? Especially with creative writing. I mean, come on. It's just like, what's the story you want to tell?
Yes, you can do anything.
Yeah, it's incredible, actually. So this software and this curriculum is going to really help that, right? It's going to encourage people. How does it start? So what is, you know, chapter 1, you know, third grader? What are they going to encounter?
So when they open it up, they'll see kind of their series of squares. And depending on what they're writing, it'll walk them through the steps. So if they're writing a report, you know, less fun than something creative, it will still say, do you have your intro? Do you have your supporting evidence? Stuff like that. If they're writing a creative story, it can either be a blank template, so just the digital sticky notes, or we can walk them through. Have you introduced your protagonist? What's your exciting incident? When we started designing, I knew that I wanted to do these squares, because that's how I work, is I put sticky notes up on the wall. And so I brought kids into rooms, into the room and asked them for their input, but I would, on a marker board, draw out squares. And I just said, that's it. They were blank. I said, if you're going to write a story, what would you do? Every single kid started in the middle of the squares. They didn't want to start at the beginning. The beginning's not as fun as the exciting incident. So I thought that's where the design is. They need to be able to start wherever they want in the story. So they may not know what chapter 1 looks like or what their whole story is going to look like. But if they know that, well, I want Billy to save, Doris from the railroad tracks,
right?
Then that's where they can start.
So have you now taken the product in its current form and tested it with young children?
Yeah, we had.
And what's been the result?
Well, we had an MVP, so a minimum viable product, and we brought that into the schools in Bozeman, because I worked there for about 10 years, so knew those teachers really well, and it went over really well. The MVP was terrible, but I was told that if you're not embarrassed of your MVP, you've waited too long. So we brought it to the school, got the feedback, but now we're hoping to launch, 1.0, at least something I'm a little bit more proud of. That'll be kind of closer to the design I was telling you guys. So,
and you find that so people like to kind of use this thing because they could start wherever they want, which is very liberating, I would imagine. But if they don't and they want to understand the progression or how things can work, this gives them that roadmap.
Yes. So another great tool for teachers is that this really teaches to every level of student. Instead of this kind of the unfortunate model in our classroom is to teach to the middle. And not every teacher does that. There are some exceptional teachers. But, when they've got 30 kids in a class or more, you just don't have time to individualize, right, the attention. But with this, they can have as much or as little structure as they want. So if they want the blank document, they can just start with those blank sticky notes and go. Or they can get walked through from your intro. They can then click on a question mark. What is intro? What do I need to include?
Sure.
Step by step. So
is it something that, so it's as liberating, I guess, it's as instructive for the student, but also for the teacher, it helps them save time, correct?
Absolutely.
Because we know they have less and less of that, and so this is a big help there.
Yes. Yeah. We've gotten great feedback from teachers just saying that they they can put a lesson plan up on Story Squares, or at least in the version that we're hoping to pilot. They can let students explore it on their own. They can even explore it with their parents and at home log on to it. It's a web-based app, so from any computer. And they're not having to schlep papers back and forth, look for different drafts. It's all in one spot. So,
well, you used the word schlep. Which, how did you know? I mean,
that's my word of the day.
She has another tattoo that says schlep on the other. So Jennifer, what was the toughest part of going through this vetting process during the business plan competition? What was the thing that was most unexpected that you had to deal with?
That's a good question. Finance. Oh my gosh, that is my weakness still. Having to come up with a 5-year plan, cash flow, profit and loss. See, I'm throwing out these words, but I don't really know what they mean.
But you have a good partner that can help you with that, right?
He's a designer.
So
you need a third partner now.
Well, or you need a coach, right?
But I do have this network here that, I mean, being with Blackstone Launchpad, I can just send out an email and, hey, I have no idea what I'm doing. Can I get hooked up with somebody? And the network here in Missoula and across Montana is unbelievable. So people have been offering so much support. And I mean, my business coach that we got for free, everybody did in the John Rufato comp, she sat down and just busted out my numbers in minutes. And, I said, I think I want this and I think I want this. And she made it look great.
So over 5 years, how much revenue would a business like this be able to generate if you hit those numbers that you've churned through the process?
That's a great question. According to what we have now, I mean, by year 5, we're looking at an annual net income of about $1 million. Right. So that's what we're hoping for. It is so hard to project numbers.
Right. But did you think when you started that you might have $1 million business on your hands?
Absolutely not. No, I thought, here I am a writer and I'm so excited to get $100 for a story every 6 months. So
who are you selling this product to? Is it to school systems? Is it to the, the Missoula Public County Public School System?
Yeah. So our subscription model is tiered. So we'd love a free version that's going to be real basic, and then to individual teachers, schools, and districts. So, of course, districts would be our number one. That's our biggest goal because they can reach the most number of students and purchase the app at the greatest price.
Sure.
But then beyond that, opening it up to the public, if we're looking at even bigger markets, we've been approached by a hospital that wants to capture all the stories from their doctors and nurses because stories are huge in marketing right now. So hospitals, anybody writing, like you said, a fantasy or Jack Kerouac or needing to write a memoir.
Was that incorporated in your business plan that you would
that's not in the numbers. So that could even blow it out of the water, bringing
categories,
it bigger.
Right? Beyond education. Storytelling is the thing with marketing these days, and it has been for years, the last couple of years now, where they want authenticity. They don't want someone throwing promo language down their
Well, I mean,
throats.
Audience Awards here's in town.
Right.
Paige Williams runs that organization, that business.
Right.
And her partners in the private sector are looking for story ideas. I mean, and she's a filmmaker that makes them into films, but they still need the ideas.
Absolutely, and the template.
So there is a whole commercial aspect to this. Of helping business and companies tell their story and create the story in the right way to share with their customers and their audience.
Oh, absolutely. I worked at a nonprofit in Bozeman for a long time, and the biggest thing with marketing and nonprofits is, there's research that shows the one story is better than the millions. If you hear, one person affected by a war rather than just hearing 10 million people or something, that is what it brings in the greatest amount of donations and attention.
That's why they always have that little sad puppy dog on the screen.
Yes, right? you want to save that one puppy, right?
Hang in there.
I'm going to shoot that puppy if you don't send me $30,000.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Oh, those, I always flip the station so
I know, I can't watch them either.
Let's flip the conversation around a little bit. So now, so there you've identified what the pain point was, and then in speaking with teachers and in the primary level, and what have they said? What was the feedback? What has the feedback been?
Oh, teachers are very ready for this, which was such a huge relief. When I first started this and they said, "Oh, get out there and do your market research," I thought, well, crap, what if nobody actually wants this?
Right.
And
that can be daunting, right?
It's so scary.
You're invested in it personally, but you can find out no one else is.
Right. If they, teachers, like you said, are extremely busy. So to implement a new tool, I was so nervous to approach them to say, hey, do you want to try something new in your classroom? But now I'm having teachers email me from different districts wanting it.
Who is the customer? Who is going to pay for it? I mean, teachers are,
the district
paying for their own pencils and stuff.
Oh gosh, I know.
So do you have to pitch a school board now in order to get this accepted? Is that the customer pathway?
Well, it varies by district, but I've been working with Bozeman and Billings, and it sounds like for them the tech director kind of has access.
And
if I can
reign.
get on their good side, they've got the money, and it's hard to come by. It's going to be a hard sell.
Now, what is it? It's an annual subscription.
Annual subscription, yep, and it would vary by district because of size and storage.
Of students.
Yep.
Right.
But teachers can pay for it on their own. But what we're going to encourage them to do is, some of them have a classroom budget, very, very small, but going through websites like Donors Choose, where they can put it up, hey, we'd love to have story squares for 3 years. Still a small sum. We're looking at right now at about $120 a year per school, or per teacher. So really not bad at all. So they can put it up and say, hey, we'd like story squares for 3 years, pitch it out there and get donations.
But and look, that money has to go to development and to keep on, there's a lot of expenses that go into running a product like that.
Sure.
An immense amount. I keep being told it's going to cost so much more than I think.
And what's the upper age? I mean, is this high school? Will it go to high school?
I hope so. Our beta testing is going to be 3rd through 7th, just because that's kind of right before they hit the high school kind of writing. But according to right now, kind of the suggested templates for writing, students are writing a narrative, a report, and a persuasive argument. That really doesn't change through high school.
Right.
So not much of our design would change.
Let's do a quick idea. Our guest is Jennifer Sheets with Story Squares, a winner. Okay.
Of the John Ruffato Business Plan competition.
Exactly. So we have a winner here, Arnie.
That's right, we do. We got $22,000 in cash. She's going to run through that very quickly. She's going to run through that very quickly. So
Mexico.
There are many social service organizations and youth development organizations like Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts and YMCA, and I just saw today that the Boy Scouts are changing their name so they could be gender neutral.
Good.
But they do a lot of experiential learning kinds of things, and it seems to me that in some of their work with young people, this would also be a tool that they could use.
That's a great idea.
They're always looking for programming.
Yeah, and I would love to get it into the hands of, especially organizations who can't afford it and who really need it. I don't anticipate us going down the route of turning into a nonprofit. I think that's great. I've done that for a long time working in the nonprofit world, and other things like Khan Academy are doing that. But I'd love to stay a for-profit company and be able to get the donations and fundraise for these organizations to get it, in front of those kids who need it.
Right. Well, in places where there's very limited budgets, this doesn't require. This is not like playing ice hockey where you need skates and pads. All you need is paper and pencil essentially, and and most schools have, at least even in developing countries, they have computers in the classroom.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, the Gates Foundation.
Yeah, well, I'm just seeing.
If they're listening, I'd like their attention.
I just see in my mind teaching creative writing to African students and other places around the world where their educational experience, based on what I've seen, isn't very creative. It's much more rote oriented.
Right.
And so this could be a new element that could be added to
it's a great idea,
Arnie.
And it's interesting as we think about this, education being a great category, a great vertical, but business, I think that's like an untapped market, because you know what? We talk about it all the time. People who can't express themselves with the written word don't speak well either. So that kind of follows that path. So this is important. This is important training.
It also fits, sure, you can hire, ad agencies and stuff, but many, many small and medium-sized companies don't have budgets to do that. And so they try to do that internally.
If they had a template, so when I was, I got some validation when I was in front of these judges at the John Ruffato. There's about 50 judges throughout the day. Constantly they were saying, I want my employees to have this. I need this for a cover letter, for a business plan, for stories in my workplace.
A presentation, a proposal.
Yes.
You know
Absolutely.
how hard people don't. You said it, Arnie, at the outset, at the intro, before Jennifer got here. The written word, not very impressed with the crop of students who you taught how to put pen to paper.
Well, I had a 6-year-old Panamanian visitor to my house with their family, and he discovered Alexa. Had not seen Alexa before. And one of the first things he said to Alexa, which I thought was interesting, was, "Alexa, tell me a children's story."
Oh, my goodness.
And he was interested in hearing stories.
Wow.
And that resonated directly. As soon as I heard about storyboards.
Not kids in the United States. They don't care. They're going to go on play Fortnite or they're going to play a game. Am I right?
Minecraft.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The other funny story about Julio, when he came back from being out, we were out. He ran over to the little disc and said, "Alexa, did you miss me?"
Oh, my goodness.
He said that. Well, his kid was starving for parental attention, clearly.
No, he had a new friend, and it was a very unusual
friend. Can I have dinner?
Little friend.
Yeah, right.
Alexa, I'm really hungry.
Yeah, right.
Alexa, tiny little friend.
That's my tiny little friend.
Wait a minute, Arnie, real quickly. So with Story Square, sorry about that. With Story Square, so now what's the plan? Like, what's the rollout look like?
Okay, well, I got to figure that out, huh? So I've got this money, then I got to figure out how to spend it. So I'll spend the next 3 months building this out, hopefully finding a developer that we can. Right. I want to see how far we can get with what we have. I've gotten different advice on, hold the money and wait until you have an investor with a substantial sum of money to do it right. And then I've also gotten advice on just start.
That makes sense,
so many people bootstrap a company. Why not? Actually, Representative Greg Gianforte spoke to Blackstone
right
a couple months ago, and I asked him, when do I start? What do I do? And he said, well, start now. Why not?
Well, that's a good
just
advice.
Start something.
Right.
So, I think we'll see how far we can get.
Did anybody who was at the business plan competition offer, give you some hope that they may be interested in giving you startup financing?
Well, yeah. We haven't talked dollars yet.
Right.
But actually, one of the judges in the middle interrupted me, and she said, "So what are you asking for?" I said, "Well, today if I win." She goes, "No, what are you asking for?" I thought, whoa. She wants to know.
Right.
So I just said on the spot, $200,000. But I do have a couple meetings this summer with some investors, and I think they're looking more to be mentors and offer support. But that's what I'll take. Free advice right now is great.
The process for getting the money is a pretty long, drawn out kind of process for that.
And I don't even know if I would know what to do with $200,000 right now or more. But
most of them would never give it to you all at once anyway. That's one of the illusions of these big influxes of cash. You don't get a check.
They don't just sign the check?
No, you don't get a check for $200,000. They figure out what your monthly burn rate is, and that's what you get.
Yeah.
And they try to keep the burn rate as low as possible.
Yeah,
so
we're starting
small. So if you weren't
small.
going to do this, let me ask you, if this thing crashed and burned, you didn't win the John Raffato business plan competition, what were you planning to do? What's your plan B?
Going back to Fargo?
Oh gosh, no.
Writing? Are you going to write?
Oh, boy.
You can write the great North Dakota novel.
I'm hoping one of these days I'd love to publish something, but I wanted. So I'll be getting my MFA. Backup plan, go back into academia. I love teaching. I really do. The classroom is so fun. But now I kind of have the bug. I feel like if this crashes and burns, I'll start something new.
Untapped. Didn't know that she liked business and business was her calling, but now here is an entrepreneurial spirit.
Just wait until that entrepreneurial spirit gets crushed.
Arnie, I'm going to call you in a year for some moral support.
The entrepreneurial spirit. We've always had that. We love meeting people that have that feeling.
Well, right. But we want to temper that with a little reality.
Oh, boy.
Absolutely. But if you don't believe that, if you have to believe that everything's possible. Right. Everything is possible.
I just have to stay delusional, right? And just believe that it's possible.
Sure.
Well, let me ask you this question, okay? Because, what are some of your influences in writing? Because, creative writing, nobody just goes into that willy-nilly. Like, what, you talked a little bit about mentorship, but what writers do you love? And what do you like to read?
Well, so I study creative nonfiction. So I love the personal essay, some memoirs, There are a lot of memoirs these days.
James Comey?
Oh, James Comey?
No, what about our best one? We had, our whole show with...
John Krakauer?
No.
Who?
With Joan Juliet Buck.
Oh. Yeah, she was good.
I'm not familiar. I'll have to check her out.
Yeah, we'll talk about that off.
Related to Jules Buck, right? So that was her dad.
Yeah, her father was almost lifetime partners in the movie production industry with Peter O'Toole.
Oh, wow.
And his early influence by being a cameraman for John Huston, right, in World War II.
Right, but she wrote her memoirs.
She wrote her memoirs, and she had a very interesting life. And we did a show, and we'll share the
we
link
love
to
writers.
her.
We also had Chad Dundas.
We had Chad Dundas on the show. We also had
Do you know Chad?
No, I don't.
Great creative writer.
And we had our friend who was the writer this season for Westworld.
Oh, right.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, screenwriter.
A lot of writers.
Yes.
There are a lot of writers here in Missoula. Oh,
right,
my gosh.
Out.
Yeah.
Right.
Pete Fromm, Judy Blunt, David Gates. These are some of the people I've gotten to study under.
Our most famous one, which we'll introduce her to.
Oh, here?
Which is Danica Winters.
Oh, yeah, Danica.
Who is a romance novelist. That's not a real name. That's her writing. But she has written 17 or 18 romance novels for Harlequin. And she has a company that helps writers commercialize their writing, and she has 30 full-time people working for her.
Wow, she figured it out.
Social media.
So she's doing social media and marketing and cover design and all that. And so she has not only done the creative piece, but now she has a business entity.
Oh, I'd love to meet her.
Yeah, she was a terrific guest on the show.
We've had some incredible guests on this show now that I'm thinking about it because...
Yeah, Self-Publishing Services, Inc. in Frenchtown, Montana is the name of her company.
That's the name of her company, right? And have we had Submittable in? We haven't had Michael Fitzgerald?
No. Oh, yeah, Submittable's phenomenal.
Yeah, they're building a huge business here. So it's
massive. Right here in
Missoula. There's so much going on in Missoula, and it's great to hear that you've got what you're got going on. But let me ask you this question. You know, you look at the government, you look at the state and federal financing and cuts, budget cuts. Mm-hmm. You know, education's the first to get the cuts.
Oh, it's getting slashed.
Yeah, but so in some ways you either are swimming upstream or you're actually the tools that can actually help them be more efficient. Right. So how are you positioning the product?
Well, yeah.
Or how are you planning to, I should say?
Planning to. Budget cuts, serious issue. Right. I mean, they're losing everything in the classroom. But recently, educational spending on educational technology has increased $800 million in the last 8 years.
Wow.
So there is a big jump. And I think we'd be a fool not to try to get into that in the classroom, because I think that it will save money in the long run, moving to technology. Because it saves time for the teachers and the schools, and it's just more efficient in the classroom. Having everything on the computer and in one platform. I also think that private donations are going to be private, right? They're going to save our classrooms. So
they have to. If they want a workforce that's going to be well educated and trained.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
It starts with education.
Give to your classrooms. If you're out there.
I want to get back. I want to shift back a little bit for a moment to the competition. Did you get to meet the other competitors? I mean, did you sit through other presentations?
So most of the presentations were private, so we couldn't sit in. It was just the judges. But I got to see the final four since I was part of that. And the ideas were amazing. Somebody is designing a 3-sided street hockey puck. So, you know, a round hockey puck rolls all over. You're in the street. It bounces too much. And so this guy was creating it so it could stay in place and play. And he'd already manufactured it, which was great. He brought it there. It was done.
That's Missoula.
Yeah, right here. And we've got somebody designing a game room. So for gamers, a place to collaborate and come. Somebody's starting a pizza farm where she grows all the ingredients for pizza. And you come to the farm for the pizza. I mean, they really were all over.
Idea.
Yeah.
For here.
She's starting.
Crust.
Yeah, for here.
Oh, yum.
Right?
Should give her that idea.
Well, I'm sure she knows, because that's a huge growth area for people that don't want bread or gluten.
Right? Oh, I love gluten, so.
Yeah.
So did you think so come on. Did you think yours was the best when you listened to the other three?
Well.
Come on.
Yes.
No. I'll say that I was terrified. I thought, there is no way. There are business students in this competition. There were finance
students from all over the state, right?
Yep,
that would participate.
Yep. And I think they had about 30 applicants. I thought there's absolutely no way. But in the back of my mind, I did know. I was really prepared. I felt confident.
That's good.
And it worked somehow.
And some humility is good because it makes you hungry, or it makes you kind of like, hey, maybe I wasn't the best. So then you go harder when you're in the presentation.
Yes,
Very
and that
good.
was also advice from my business coaches throughout the day, where she would just say, laugh it off if you don't know an answer.
Right.
Show the humility.
Well, we know
from
a lot of the great, entrepreneurs, large and small, they didn't start off as business students. Most of them came from a different area with, terrific ideas.
Right.
They didn't go to Wharton. Yeah.
Pre-med.
What happened?
Journalism.
Yeah. Well, when I looked through the microscope, I couldn't tell one thing from the other, so I didn't think that was going to be a good launching pad.
And let's be clear, when we spoke with Seth Bodner at the university and we talked about, liberal arts and the liberal arts education, how important that is to new businesses and to other fields. It's not just engineering, and it's not just, what did he call it? What the heck is it? Anyway.
The STEM fields?
The STEM fields. Mm-hmm. How important that is, and it's like to have that type of education. And
you have to think creatively. It's not just the arts, but it's in business. When you encounter a problem, you have to be the person with the most creative solution to get past that problem.
And then you have to figure out.
Well stated.
But then you have to make the transformation into a business. I mean, for example, in this whole area of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, there's hundreds of technological platforms that are competing with each other. And the ones that are going to survive are the ones that have a business model that works.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not necessarily the most creative or the best designed technology. It's the one that they can figure out how to, market and structure as a business and show where revenue is going to be generated. Mm-hmm. And that's who bubbles to the top.
But that does take creativity, right? To think, how can I generate the most revenue, the most efficiently?
But you have to bring a team together that makes that work.
Yes.
Let's take a quick break. Our guest is Jennifer Sheets, and we will be back after this with final words. All right, we are back with Jennifer.
So,
Hi.
Jennifer, how do people get in touch with you if they want to find out more about Story Square?
Yeah, we'd love some feedback and contact. People can find us on Facebook. Facebook.com/StorySquares app. So they need the app on the end. So you don't forget. APP. Story Squares, plural, app. That's us.
We also noticed, which we'll share with our listeners, that you have a spoon and fork tattoo on your other arm. So tell us what that's for.
Well, day one of teaching, my students asked me, why is there a fork and spoon on your arm? Honestly, it's just because I love food so much.
Okay, so how long have you been in Missoula? How long have you been here now?
Just this year.
So what restaurants?
So you just got here a year ago?
So what food things have caught your attention?
Yeah, we love talking about
the food scene. The farmers market is hard to beat here. You can find everything. I can't wait till that starts up again. Let's see. I don't know. What are some of your favorite restaurants?
Well, mine is Burn Street. I just went to, as I told you, I went to lunch.
Great breakfast.
Brunch and lunch.
Yep.
Breakfast, brunch, and lunch.
My favorite's the one I haven't been to yet. Whatever the next one is that's going to open up, I want to check out.
That'll be your favorite.
To me yet?
No, I've not been to Sake.
I heard good things.
Me too.
Yeah, we'll have to go check it out.
I wasn't even sure they were open yet.
On a different level, yes. That's that they've raised the bar for sushi here in Missoula.
That's good. That's good. We need some bar raising.
We need that.
On a regular basis.
Well, what did you enjoy back in Bozeman?
Bozeman. Bozeman has a great food scene.
It does.
I'd say downtown, if you're down in Bozeman, you got to go check out Bissell.
Bissell.
Bissell. BISL. These two chefs they're young. They're like 26, 27. I mean, blowing it out of the water. Kind of New York style, like completely revolutionary food.
I heard there's lines out the door at certain times during the day there.
Is there?
That's what I heard.
26, 27?
Yeah, young. And just unbelievable. The amount of care that they put into the food.
How big of a restaurant is it?
It's pretty small.
Like 500 square feet?
No, okay, not that small. Maybe like 30 tables. No.
30 tables, that's a lot.
20 tables.
20 tables is a lot. I mean, so say it's 1,200 square feet?
Yeah.
Interesting. We got to check that out. We're there this weekend. My family is there this weekend for my son's graduation.
Right. You can watch them cook in their kitchen, and it's so cool.
Well, let me ask you this. Coming from Fargo, what kind of food did you have in Fargo?
Oh, tater tot hot dish, don't you know?
What is that?
You can just imagine.
By the way,
it's their version of shepherd's pie.
Anything can be a hot dish.
Their version of shepherd's pie and tuna
that
casserole.
was well put. Yeah.
Well, what is that right? What?
Oh yeah, he nailed it. But you can't explain it like that. It's hot dish.
I know it's hot.
What is that?
So hot dish, pretty much you just pour anything into a dish and put it in the oven, so it's hot.
But what's the tater tot? Is that the basis? Is that the foundation?
Beef, onions, maybe ketchup.
Where does the fat go?
You got
all
it.
into your stomach.
Can't tell. I mean, she's quite fit.
Got to run it off.
Jennifer, we love hearing about Story Squares. We look forward to
Thank you.
following and checking on your progress, and we appreciate you coming by today and sharing your insights.
Thank you. It's an honor. Appreciate it.
All right, and that's Facebook.com, and look up Story Squares app to get in touch with Jennifer. Arnie.
See you next week.
See you then.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to What Do You Know?
I can't wait for the next show, Scott.
I'm excited too, Arnie. If you'd like to suggest a guest, send me an email at scottrichmond@townsquaremedia.com. We'll see you next week. And thanks for listening to Newstalk KGVO,